Sharon Art Studio in Golden Gate Park is San Francisco's largest public community art center. Classes in ceramics, glass, jewelry, drawing, and watercolor draw 3,500 youth and adults yearly in 4 sessions. Today, San Francisco women artists demonstrate various art techniques, and Susan Strolis shows us around.
I'm Susan Strolis. I'm the board president for the Friends of Sharon Art Studio. We're the nonprofit that supports and enhances the programming here at Sharon Building, and it's part of Sharon Art Studio. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the history, so please come this way and I'll show you my scrapbook. William Sharon was a senator from Nevada. When he died, he bequeathed a large sum of money to Golden Gate Park to build a memorial in his name. And as a result, this beautiful building, turn of the century, late 18th century, was built. It's the Sharon Building, and this is the memorial so that we will permanently remember the great benefactor who gave us this fabulous place and this great area of recreation. I have a scrapbook here with a little bit of the history. I'd like to show it to you, if I may. At the end of the 18th century, our building was built, the Sharon Building, and it was a point of recreation, a place to give women and children a place to come during the day and spend their time. This is William Sharon, who was the senator, and you see there wasn't much here at the time, but people are still enjoying the area. This is a concession sign that shows that for 2.5 cents you could rent a donkey or a goat cart, and you would get on the donkeys and goats and kind of travel around the paths in the area. Here we have a celebration of some little more swings that have been added. The carousel has been added. This is Mary Hickok, and she was the caretaker here. At the time, there was someone who lived on site 24/7 and oversaw everything that happened in the area. And then the '06 earthquake happened, and our building took a pretty big hit. And as you see, it was a little devastating. But like a phoenix, we rose from the ashes, and it was reborn, only to, in 1976, experience one more fire that completely gutted the interior of the building and displaced us for quite a long time. We moved to Fleischacker building for a while, and had some classes there. And a lot of the program began late 60s, and a lot of the teachers are still here teaching this today. We did eventually return to the Sharon Building, and then in 1991 the Friends of Sharon Art was born as a way to supply the studio, the programming, with equipment, supplies, teachers, classes. We were also a political voice, because at one point the city wanted to do away with the art program and instead put a restaurant. They thought that might be more profitable to have a restaurant in this building. So the Friends of Sharon Art got together and sat in front of City Hall and threw pots and proved the point that art is recreation and is something that's really effective in bringing the community together and in bringing enjoyment to people's lives. So from 1991 to today, we have been enhancing and sustaining the programming here at the studio, and our mission will continue. So in 1991, the Friends of Sharon Art Studio, the nonprofit, was incorporated as a 501(c), and we are dedicated to sustaining and enhancing the programming here at the studio, making sure that classes are both affordable and accessible to the public. We recently signed a memo of understanding with the City of San Francisco, and I think this is only going to lead to even greater programming and more events like we're having today, where we get to showcase some of the fine Bay Area artists. And today at this event we'll be featuring some of the artists from SF Women Artists Gallery, as well as some of our own teachers and students work here. So come by anytime and enjoy. I'm really blessed to have so many volunteers to help put together a great event like today, and one of them is Camilla Schneider here, who is our secretary for the Friends of Sharon Art Studio and a great board member and a very active volunteer.
Yeah, I really wasn't quite sure when they asked me to be on the board. Why? Because I don't think of myself as an artist at all, and that's one of the really neat things about being here. Is I came in kind of with this 30-year picture that maybe I'd be a mother, Grandma Moses, but I had to get old enough or something, and I really didn't know what I was doing. And you can come in and just play around, and I've taken stained glass and fused glass and several jewelry classes, and you know, some things work really well, and it's really nice to have friends see something I've made and say, "Ooh, how'd you do that?" or "Did you really do that?" And you know, to not think of myself as an artist or having any skills and be able to do something is neat.
It is easy to play. In fact, PMC is so easy to do. And in fact, Olivia Competente is going to be doing a demonstration on PMC. So let me walk you down the pathway here and introduce you to Olivia.
Sounds great.
Hi, my name's Olivia Competente. I'm the precious metal clay teacher here at Sharon Art Studio, and I'm going to demonstrate on how to make a leaf pendant from A to Z. What I'm doing right now is I'm wedging the clay in my hands. Precious metal clay was invented about 20 years ago in Japan by the Mitsubishi Corporation. They've learned how to do the ultimate in reclaiming by taking the silver findings from 35mm film and separating it from your leftovers and mixing it with a non-toxic binder. So what happens is that you get a beautiful supple product, and it's nice because you can mold it into different things, different pieces of jewelry, different miniature sculptures. Right now I'm going to roll it out between cards because, like all sheet metal, to keep it nice and uniformly smooth or in a uniform thickness, we keep it between cards. I like precious metal clay best because it's very uninhibiting and non-threatening. You don't have to have very much special equipment. So I have a beautiful, nice, even slab here. And I'm going to take what nature gave us best. Nice little leaf. Use my scalpel here. You always want to see what you get. I have a pretty good imprint. So you take an imprint, and then I'm just going to trim the edges. And then we're just trimming our edges here. And I leave it on a card to dry. It must be in a leather hard dry stage. So it must be all leather hard by the time you do your next step. When you do your next step, to get rid of all the sniggly bits and to even out everything, you want to file the edges. You want to file the edges and then run your finger around the edge to make it nice and silky smooth. Hi. Now I'm going to put a bail on the piece here. Okay? The bail is where your chain or your ribbon will go through. It's also a nice finishing to your piece. So I'm going to make a coil. I'm going to make this beautiful geranium leaf into a beautiful piece. This is clay mixed with water. It acts as a glue. I'm going to take a straw as my placeholder. and trim off my excess. At this point, I can actually figure out if I want to use one of these beautiful cubic zirconia. And to secure it finally, instead of prongs, I'll ring it in. And add some detailing. At this point, I would let it dry for up to 2 hours and up to as long as I wanted to. It'll last for about 4 years in this state, as long as it's dry. And then, you don't need any special equipment to fire with. This is a solderite board. My piece is completely dry, so it's rock hard.
Right. And then you glaze it?
I'm gonna,
is that the next one?
Nope, there's no glaze. Every girl needs a blowtorch. So I'm gonna fire it for 3 minutes. Hopefully nothing will go up in flames. Okay. Ooh, gassy. All right, there we go. So this is almost finished. I'm gonna let it cool, but it is silver now in all respects. To bring it up to a little bit more of a polish, and I'm rushing, I would actually wait. Use a stainless steel brush or a rock tumbler, and your piece is essentially done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Anna Blevis-Whitlatch. I'm an instructor at the studio in stained glass and fused glass, and I've been attending classes here since I was 9 years old, and today I'll be showing you how to solder a copper foil piece, which will turn into a little light catcher you can hang in the window. So I'm going to just be melting the solder on top of the copper foil, which will hold the pieces of glass together. It's a pretty easy process once you get used to it. You just have to move slow and steady over the lines. So I'm basically trying to attach them all together so I can take the pins out of the way so they'll be easier to handle. So now it will be easier for me to solder all the lines. You want to get a nice rounded edge to the solder so that it looks kind of like a strip of metal as opposed to this kind of liquid that you're melting onto it. And this is just a small version of what we do here at the studio. What we usually do are larger windows.
Okay guys, we stay outside. We're going to walk around the outside. Okay.
Okay, so to complete my my little light catcher, my stained glass light catcher, I'm going to attach a hook. So first I have my hook here and I'm going to put something called flux on it, which I had also covered all the copper foil on it. This is like a catalyst that allows the solder to stick to it. Then we have to do what's called tinning the hook. So that's basically just covering it in solder. Makes it look nicer, it makes it stronger. So I'm just going to cover the whole thing in solder, make it all silver. And then make sure that there's a place for a wire to go. And then what I'm going to do is attach the hook to the piece. So you need to pick it up. Of course that doesn't work. Pick it up and put it on. Make sure it's in the right spot, and then I'm going to solder it on. So right now I'm just kind of melting it to get stuck in one place, and then I'm going to add a little solder, and I'm attaching the hook to the back so that the front you won't be able to see the place where the hook attaches. Okay, and in a moment I'll be able to hold it up for you so you can see the finished product before it's cleaned, of course. Okay, so I can't touch the hook part right now because it's still very hot, but here's the oh, gotta touch up the front a tiny bit, and then I'll show you the finished product. Okay. So here's the finished product. I'm gonna clean it off and then attach a little wire to the hook, and then it will be ready to hang in a window.
My name is Dina, and I'm China painting instructor for Sharon Art. And these are my paints that I use. They come from little powdered pigments that contain glass. You grind the paint with a medium and oil, and then you grind it on a rough surface of glass till you get a nice consistency. Then you paint, and there's two ways to begin. Either one is with outlining, like this was outlined first and then filled with color. Okay, this is done by outlining first, then filling in the pigment. And pigments are applied in layers and fired in between each layer at about 1600 degrees. And therefore, the glass in the pigment fuses with the glass in the glaze. This one was done purely with brush strokes. This is one layer of paint, and it's done purely with brush strokes. When you've built up your layers, like this particular one of the butterflies have perhaps about 5 layers of color of paint put on them, and each one was fired in between. The other way is with this particular bottle was made and with a raised surface, and those will just add the layers of color. This one has about 3 layers.
Okay.
And one of the finished ones looks like this. And this one has embellishments of gold luster.
Carousel in Golden Gate Park, and right across the asphalt area here is the Sharon Art Studio. We have some of our local resident artists throwing ceramic pottery on the wheel. Why don't you come over and we'll show you how it's done. This is Katina Price. She's one of the studio assistants here at Sharon Art Studio, and today she's going to do a quick demonstration on how to throw a pot on the wheel. We needed someone to help with some water. Do we have a helper with water? No?
Not quite.
Not
okay.
quite. All right.
So I will do it. So this is throwing off the ham, and I just centered a small piece of clay at the top. After I centered it, I'm just drilling a hole with my thumb here and adding a little bit of water with the sponge. I just drilled a hole with my finger in this little piece of centered clay, and now I am going to open this piece of clay, open the bottom, push the clay to the sides, and then condense the bottom, which will become the bottom of this little cup, with a sponge or with my fingers, because otherwise it can crack in the firing. And
Look at crack in the firing.
hot when the clay goes in the fire.
And now I'm just lifting. I'm grabbing a piece of clay with between my fingers, right and left hand, and I'm lifting it.
Stay right here.
And I have more or less the shape. Now I just refined it. Anyway,
Now she's going to make the shapes.
yeah, now I'm using tools beside my fingers.
So she can really give it a nice shape.
Could I touch it?
And a
So
little
get some water at the
sponge.
bottom. It's very wet inside.
Now I'm making the lip, so when you drink from it, it feels good on your lips, and it's almost done. I'm starting to shape the bottom, that. Then I go back to the inside, reshape that, and now I want to just mark it, add some design. So I'll take one of those. Which one should I take? I have a small one here. How about this design?
We have ein cup.
And then I take it. Who wants to do it with me? No one? Okay. Now I'm taking this. It's basically a stamp that is made from clay and was fired, and I'm kind of wedging it and pushing it in. And I have a little mark. Done.
But I want to go over here.
Got it on the camera.
Reshape the lip. I'm taking now another tool, a wood tool, and with the pointy part, I'm just trimming it, the extra clay, and making place here to cut it with a little string, which I'll wrap around, just like so, and I'm starting the wheel, and it's cut. You take it, you put it aside, and when it's leather hard, you trim it and add to it a nice foot. Very good. You can have it, yeah, you can play with it.
Thank you.
Anyone?
It's Saturday, October 9th, and we're celebrating American Craft Week here at Sharon Art Studio. We've invited some of our friends from SF Women's Artist Gallery to come by. Next to me here is Azara Fagefi. She's the board president.
Hi, why don't you come upstairs and look at Aiko's weavings and tapestries. She's weaving on a loom.
Has he called you already? No. Hi, this is Aiko Gray. This is some of her work, and she's doing a demonstration in backstrap weaving. So come on up and have a look and see how it's done.
My name is Aiko. Hi, I'm a weaver. I'm making kind of these tapestries and the scarves on the table, and now I want to teach Susan how to weave by backstrap weaving. It's a very simple way, but we can make a scarf. This part lift up, and from the light, pass this through the thread. Yeah, that's right. And go to left and use comb and softly. Yeah, that's right. And the other side, from left side, you have to pull up this one. Okay. And from the left side, you can sew. Well, yes. Be careful. Okay. And light side. Okay? And same thing, yeah, very gently. You can use.
This is easy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And same thing.
Same thing. Repeat again.
Yeah.
Lift up.
Yeah.
I can see how this would be very soothing to do. And you don't need a lot of equipment to do this either. It's very simple. No fancy looms, nothing. This is a really easy way to weave. Very easy way to weave.
Show the final.
Well, because it's October 9th, it's Fleet Week, and the sound you hear is the Blue Angels and their guests entertaining us in the sky while we enjoy the crafts on the ground below.
This is Aiko's work, and this is her work as well.
Hi, this is the entrance to the glaze room in the ceramic studio at Sharon Art Building. Come on in and have a look around, see what we're doing inside. This is the glaze room in the ceramic studio. Here we have big buckets full of glaze, which to finish our pieces. We have some wonderful test tiles on the wall to show you what the final product might look like. And if you'll follow me further down the hall, I'll bring you to the wet room where we've got a lot of throwing and hand building happening. Come right this way. So here we are in the wet room in the clay studio where people do throwing on the wheel and hand building. The lower level of the Sharon Building actually used to be a goat and donkey stable. Back in the late 1800s, for 2.5 cents, you could rent a donkey or goat cart and you would take it out on the trails around the area, and that would be the recreation. But now, about 40 years ago, the Sharon Art program began, and since then it's been open to the public. We have affordable, accessible programming, and as you see, it's Saturday, it's open studio, and we got a lot of people taking advantage of that and enjoying the space. To complete our brief tour of the Sharon Art Studio, I'd like to take you up to the 3rd level. Used to be the home of the caretaker that lived 24/7 here on site. Now it's a fabulous metal art studio where we also do some watercolor classes as well. Come on up and I'll give you a show of that.
424-9999. La Forza del Destino is one of their...
Well, I hope you enjoyed your short visit to Sharon Art Studio today, and I hope that you'll come back again another time and spend a little more time and maybe take a class or two with us and see what all the fun is about. Thanks so much for joining us.